This is Dr. Christopher Sernaque, hosting episode 21 of season 6 of the Current Topics in Science podcast. This podcast will address breaking scientific news in light of the origins debate and host interviews with scientists. Today we'll be covering how lunar recession is evidence for a young Earth. This podcast is available on the following platforms: iTunes, Audible, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Video recordings of the podcast will be uploaded to YouTube. Enjoy the podcast. Did you know that the Earth is losing something? That's right, our Earth is losing its one and only moon. There was a time when Earth had 2 moons, something we covered on another episode of Current Topics in Science. But right now, scientists have discovered the moon is drifting away from Earth, and it's changing everything we thought we knew about our planet's relationship with its only natural satellite. According to a study from the University of Wisconsin-Madison, it turns out that the moon is moving away from Earth at 3.82 centimeters a year. That means that eventually it'll result in Earth days lasting 25 hours in 200 million years' time. Speaking of millions of years, did you know that the lunar recession phenomena fits well within the young Earth creationist model? Dr. Jason Lisle, a PhD astrophysicist and young Earth creationist scientist, had this to say about lunar recession, and I quote, 6,000 years ago, the moon would have been about 800 feet, 250 meters, closer to the Earth, which is not much of a change considering the moon is nearly 250,000 miles, or 400,000 kilometers away. So this spiraling away of the moon is not a problem over the biblical timescale of 6,000 years. But if the Earth and the moon are over 4 billion years old, as the Big Bang supporters teach, then we'd have big problems. This is because the moon would have been so close that it would actually have been touching the Earth less than 1.5 billion years ago. This suggests that the moon can't possibly be as old as secular astronomers claim. As Dr. Donald Batten put it, only the Bible, with its creation account from the Creator himself, can inform us as to the moon's true age. Formed on day 4 of Creation Week, our moon is just a few days younger than our Earth, about 6,000 years old. The real, biblical past is the key to understanding the present. At the end of the day, knowing that the moon was created 6,000 years ago is not going to save you. Only Christ Jesus can save you. Right now, you might be going through one of the darkest nights of your life, one where even the moonlight can't guide you. That's why I want to share this promise from God with you. The sun shall be no more, thy light by day, neither for the brightness shall the moon give light unto thee. But the Lord shall be unto thee an everlasting light, and thy God, thy glory. Thy sun shall no more go down, neither shall thy moon withdraw itself. For the Lord shall be thine everlasting light, and the days of thy mourning shall be ended. And finally, to our listeners, thank you very much for taking the time to learn with us on Current Topics in Science, where scientific discoveries are examined in light of the origins issue. You can find the articles referenced in this podcast episode, a discount link for the documentary Evolution's Achilles Heels, and a link to the Christ Jesus Ministries merch store in the description. Please share and subscribe to the Current Topics in Science podcast. It's available on iTunes, Audible, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Thanks again for listening, and remember, the truth saves.